Hello, hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have a TVT, yes, this is a GOM TVT between two Korean players from the Dreamhack Valencia 2012 semi-finals. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and introduce who these players are. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of Ohana as the red Terran, we have representing Team Quantic. It is going to be QuanticTheStC. He's a Korean Code S level Terran, has been doing very well, very consistent player, always places very high in tournaments, but sometimes has a little bit of trouble actually winning them. We're going to see if he can change that up in this tournament against his opponent. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of Ohana as the blue Terran, he is going to be representing Team Millennium. His name is MilleniumForGG, and he is also a Korean Terran, an ex-Brood War player. I've been casting some of his games recently, and if you checked out some of his most recent games that I have casted, he recently beat Stefano 2-1. We're going to see if he can beat his new opponent, though, in a Terran versus Terran matchup. It's a whole different matchup, and the winner of this will advance on from the quarterfinals to the semifinals. This is going to be a best of 3 match, so let's go ahead and see how these players are going to go ahead and get this game underway. We do see that barracks being placed down over at the ramp for 4GG, looking like it's going to be a wall off, and in the meanwhile, the STC going for that barracks, kind of hidden. It's a nice, cute little play where you can kind of potentially give your opponent a little bit of a scare, thinking like, where is the barracks? And you know, when they can't find it in the main, they might freak out, of course. They might start checking it around down here and such. But we aren't going to be seeing anything of the sort, as 4GG is just not really scouting right now. It looks like he's only just now going to be sending out... No, not even going to send out that scout for now. So this is not really going to have any effect on the match whatsoever. But one thing that will have an effect is the fact that 4GG actually went for this earlier gas geyser. So what that is kind of indicating is that he's probably going to be getting that their factory, or potentially even a tech lab or a reactor, before he decides to go and try and do any kind of expansion play. And in the meanwhile, we see no gas down for the STC, and that's just because he is actually going for that expansion play. He's going for that 1 Rax expand. This is going to give him a little bit of an economic edge over 4GG, as we can even see he is going for that factory play. So that it does mean we will be seeing most likely a couple of Hellions out. We might even see a Banshee. We're going to wait and see, though. I'm not entirely sure if we will be seeing a Banshee, as the second gas geyser is just now going down, and if he decides, yeah, with this reactor coming down, I feel like he will not exactly have enough gas to go, at least go for a cloak Banshee. So would be a little bit surprised if we end up seeing that out of 4GG. But in the meanwhile, it looks like the STC is going to be finishing up his command center in just a little bit. Does have his 2 gas geysers going, so can turn down a factory of his own. Can we get a factory? There we get a factory. Yes, indeed. So it looks like both these players opening up with that factory, doing a nice little bit of scouting from the STC. As you can see, he's seen a little bit. He actually does know about this factory over here. Kind of interesting to note, but still doing a good job scouting around, making sure there is no little proxy SCV getting ready to get a nice little scout off or anything of the sort. And in the meanwhile, we do see that first Hellion popping out for 4GG a good bit before his opponent. So gonna see how much damage he can actually do with that. We do see a starport also out, and it's actually going to be producing medevacs. An interesting decision. I'm really curious to see if he's doing this because he wants to do some kind of drop play, or if he's going to continue to produce Marines out of this reactor. If he's ever going to swap and give that reactor to the factory or even the starport, going to be cool to see. But we do end up seeing, it looks like he's not being super duper aggressive, at least not just yet, with these Marines and Hellions. But I feel like, given the fact that the STC did end up getting out this expansion quite early, he's definitely going to have to be a bit, he's going to have to do some kind of damage if he wants to come back. We can see over here in the worker count that even though we see it's 26 to 24 workers right now, we see 0 command centers started for 4GG. It looks like he's only just now going to be starting up as he moves out across the map. And oh my god, it looks like the SCC does catch wind of this with this Hellion. That's a nice little scouting play over there. That's going to allow him to say, hey, I can go ahead and lower these T-posts. Actually, no, I'm going to raise them back up. Okay, interesting decision, and decide not not to actually land over that natural command center. We do see the Marines popping in. There is a medevac out also as well, but we do actually see a Viking on its way, so we're going to see. This is going to kind of put a bit of a timer down on 4GG's push unless he can do a lot of damage. We do see him charge firing down that reactor. If he gets that reactor, that'll be a really nice win, and it's going to definitely hold the production of those Marines. And we do see quite a few Marines going down actually to those Hellions, even though those big poles are raised. And oh my god, the medevac actually barely staying alive against this Viking. This Viking actually going to land to try and deal some extra damage over here. But that medevac is seriously worth its weight in gold, healing up all those Marines and actually getting away with killing almost every single, actually killing every single Marine of the STC. But eventually the STC not the opposite of land, puts his Viking into the air mode and then snipes off that medevac. So that's definitely gonna give him a nice little edge. And now it looks like 4GG are gonna go ahead and retreat with those 3 poor little Marines. And, you know, they're going to have to go home and, I guess, retreat to the safety of these Hellions. But, I mean, Hellions not going to be able to do a whole lot against these 2 tanks as well as that 1 Viking we did see. So kind of interesting way and unit composition that's kind of ending up coming out of both of these players, as we see 4GG very Marine and Hellion heavy. Oh my god, is he actually pushing out across the map again? We see these Hellions and these Marines clumping up at this watchtower. Oh my god, the SEC might not be prepared for this. He is knocking down the rocks over to his 3rd. Looks like he's actually even getting a Raven. It's not really producing any additional tanks. There we do see some additional tank, another additional tank going down, but we don't see any siege mode being started just yet. Now siege mode starting, and there are a lot of Hellions and a lot of SCVs and mules to be had. So it looks like these Hellions are going to be able to kill a ton of workers, and oh my god, these siege tanks are going to be able to do a lot of damage over to these Hellions. But oh my god, there are just so many Hellions, and he might actually be able to deal enough damage to take out the siege tanks, even an auto turret going down from that newly popped Raven. But oh my god, the supply depots go down, and whoa, that was really close. He almost got those, or had those Hellions go straight into the main. But oh my god, when there are enough Hellions to take out siege tanks and Vikings, you know you are in trouble. We can see the work count is down to 27 to 37, and even the workers killed. Oh my god, 17 workers killed. That is absolutely brutal. And 4GG now with this newly mining expansion is going to feel pretty freaking comfortable in this game now. Even if he decides to just back off right now, he doesn't need to right now. He can go ahead and continue to deny mining and try and pick off these SCVs that are spawning over at this expansion. But in the meanwhile, oh my god, even the Hellions getting great shots off on those Marines, and even though the siege mode has completed, that's going to spell a bit of an end to how much damage this push can actually do. As I feel like now STC can finally move out with this siege tank and push these Hellions back. At the same time, the damage has been done. Look, even if all those Hellions end up getting killed off, it doesn't really matter. Look at this. 4GG has basically these 2 tanks as well as those 2 Hellions to kind of stay safe, and if the STC just decide to try and push out across the map right now with the forces he had, what? 2 siege tanks and 5 Marines. He's not going to be able to end the game with that. But he's seriously down economically. As you can see, he's basically down on this command center. He's having to repair that up. He's down about 10 SCVs. He's okay in the tank count, although I have to say that 4GG is able to start producing 2 tanks at a time right now. And in the meanwhile, you know, the STC has to produce additional barracks. He has to be able to reinforce his army with something to survive any kind of incoming push that 4GG could go for right now. So really, he just can't afford to produce an obscene number of tanks right now, and that's going to spell a lot of trouble. We do see a 3rd command center out for the STC, and that's definitely going to help him out with reproducing those workers. We can see he's actually already narrowing the gap with 3 workers being produced at a time in comparison to 0 workers being produced at a time. And you know, the fact that 4GG is kind of halting SCV production at random times makes me believe that he's going to be going for some kind of big pressure play once again, just showing us how much of an aggressive player 4GG really is, as he's just been doing constant aggression with those big 2 pushes, and it looks like we might even be seeing a 3rd one, and it looks like even building up that Viking count is definitely going to help with high ground vision. Here we go. Hellions moving out across the map, as well as those tanks. The Hellions clearing the ground to make sure that the STC will not have a good amount of vision to see exactly what 4GG's unit composition is, but the siege tanks are sieged up for the STC. We're going to see how well they're going to be able to defend, and oh my god, that is a lot of siege tanks and Hellions. and even a lot of Vikings. There's actually nothing to contest the air control. We do see the Hellions moving in. They're going to start roasting away over at these Marines and Marauders, and now the Siege Tanks also under fire. Not even really sieging out those Siege Tanks, but at the same time, the Vikings actually on the high ground be able to land over there and pick off the Siege Tanks and be able to do an insane amount of damage. So really working out well for 4GG, and now you can just go ahead and siege up over here, get on top of the production facilities over here that are going to be at least close to this edge over here, and deny mining from this natural expansion, even though this third is up over here. Look at this. Well, I guess 4GG actually ends up having that command center cancelled for just a little bit. But at the same time, I mean, look at this. 4GG has fantastic positioning. You can see that STC was trying to make that transition over to that bio style of play. He does not have a very big siege tank count, so he's going to have a really difficult time busting through this. He is going to be able to use quite a few Marauders, but I'm not sure if it's going to matter, as those Marauders are just going to get massacred, especially with this high ground vision given by this barracks and this little fleet of 4 Vikings. What can the STC do at this point? He's trying to siege up those siege tanks, having to move the barracks as they were just starting to get picked off by those siege tanks, and I'm actually a little bit surprised that these tech labs are not in range, but with that, those siege tanks moving forward onto the high ground, they are going to be in range. It looks like that's going to cue the STC to try and move in. He's trying to do as much damage as he can with those Marines and Marauders, but oh my god, he's just taking so much damage. There are only a couple of Marines and Marauders left, but it looks like he's able to clean up all of those siege tanks. But look, a reinforcing wave of Hellions are going to be able to come in, and these Vikings couldn't even have the chance to land. It looks like there they do decide to land, and they're going to be able to do an additional amount of DPS to take out that siege tank, take out that Marauder, and even though there are some reinforcing Marauders, the Marauders hard counter Vikings and Hellions, but what does it matter when there are this many Vikings and Hellions for you to deal with? And I think that STC is going to have to GG very soon now, and wow, this is just a really fantastically played game from 4GG, and there is actually going to be the GG. So 4GG living up to his name, getting the GG out of his opponent, and this is going to be brought over to game number 2, guys. Wow, that was a pretty impressive game, and really impressive play from 4GG with that constant aggression, those 3 very, very scary timing pushes, and he was able to just take out his opponent. So we're going to have to wait and see in game number 2 whether or not the STC is going to be able to come back in this best of 3 series, or if 4GG is going to close it out with a clean 2-0 finish and move on to the semi-finals. I'll see you guys there.